Oh, Jesus Christ, can't you put a cushion in this thing? I've got a seriously sore... Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been 24 hours since my last confession. I stole a pack of disposable razors. I'm sorry, Father, I shouldn't have done it, but I had to get rid of the beard. If I don't change my appearance, someone will recognise me sooner or later. I'm thinking of dyeing my hair too. I reckon I'd look good blonde. Mind you, that's not the only reason I shaved. Who'd go for a hirsute rent boy? Yes, I did it. Well, what choice do I have? There were only so many employment opportunities available when you're dead. I suppose you want to know the gory details. I went back to where I'd seen that kid. He was there again. I watched from afar, lurking in the shadows. I'm good at lurking. When I was stalking Elizabeth, I did a lot of lurking. Soon enough, someone pulls up, they have a quick chat, and in he gets. I took a deep breath, crossed the street, and put myself in his place. This kid, he was wearing a tight vest top, even tighter jeans, and he had this look of innocent vulnerability about him. Well, the only clothes I own are what I'm wearing, and after 4 days of sleeping rough, they don't smell so good. Not much I could do about that, so I did my best to muster a look of innocent vulnerability. That wasn't difficult, actually. Innocence is a fair description of my relationship to the world I was entering, and I've never felt more vulnerable. Even so, it was half an hour before someone pulled up. I was starting to feel quite offended by every car that drove past, so when this guy did stop, there was a thin sliver of relief mixed with my overwhelming sense of dread. And that was before I'd seen the guy. There wasn't a blank space on his massive bald head. It was like some tattoo artist's Sistine Chapel, only with less cherubs and more large-breasted women blasting one another's guts out with machine guns. There was a scar down his cheek that the artist had skillfully incorporated into the design, passing it off as the partition in some kind of satanic glory hole. He was all, "Hey, pretty boy, how much for the full works?" And I was all, "I have no idea what the going rate is for that." I realised I probably should have done more research. So I thought, well, what's it worth to be rogered by a man with a tattoo on his face of a man made out of guns, shooting another man made out of guns with a gun, only instead of bullets it's shooting guns? The figure I came up with was about 60 grand, but I thought, I've got to be realistic and I'm desperate for cash, so I said, 150? He just laughed and said, "Yeah, right. I'll give you 50 if you rim me afterwards." Well, I can't say I was bowled over by his offer, but I figured he knows the market. Still, it seemed worth negotiating, so I was all, 75? Trust me, it'll be worth it. He grinned and said done, and I got in the car. As soon as he drove away, I thought, what have I let myself in for? Why did I say that? Trust me, it'll be worth it. I was fucking terrified. Sorry, Father, I was flipping terrified. And I'd promised him some kind of deluxe service. But customer satisfaction was the least of my concerns. At this point, I'm thinking, if I make it out alive, that's a win. I think he twigged that I was nervous because he started making small talk, but it didn't exactly put me at my ease. He introduced himself as Hogleg, which he told me is a type of revolver they used in the Old West. I realised I was going to need a name too, so I was all, "Nice to meet you, Hogleg. I'm Kevin." Then he started telling me about his gun collection, which is extensive. He's got over 50 assault rifles, 12 light or general purpose machine guns, and a flamethrower. A flamethrower! How you can have a general purpose machine gun, I don't know. I was always under the impression that they have a very specific purpose. I asked, but I didn't really take in much of the explanation on account of I was still freaked out that he owns a flamethrower. I suppose all this talk of guns at least distracted me from what was to come, but I was all too aware of what lay in my immediate future when we pulled up at the house. He led me into the bedroom and I followed in a horrified, numb daze. I didn't know what to do next. I mean, I had literally no idea what's expected in that situation. I always think if you don't know something, the best thing is to ask, so I was all, "How do you want me?" He was all naked would be a good start. So I started to strip, and then I had a horrible thought. Would he want me to have I mean, I don't have a clue about this sort of thing, but presumably I was expected to look like I was into it. Well, of course I wasn't into it, and my cock, sorry father, my old chap must have looked like a slug in a salt pot. I tried frantically thinking sexy thoughts. Well, you know what it's like trying to get a hard-on under pressure. I cleared my mind and remembered my first time with Elizabeth. That's the one thing that does it for me every time. It was the way she looked into my eyes. Such hunger, such lust. It made me feel so powerful, like I was the sexiest man alive. Oh my God, she was hot. So animalistic. It makes me hard every time I think about it. It's happened again now, actually. Sorry, father, you didn't need to know that. It even worked when I was standing half naked in Hogleg's seedy little flat with this massive wall of a tattooed gun freak leering over me. So when I finally took down my pants, I was rock hard, and I could see he was pleased. I got a certain sense of job satisfaction from that. And then he did something to me. I mean, I'm not complaining, it's what he was paying me for, but bloody hell, no lubricant or anything, he just rammed it in. It must have hurt him as much as it hurt me, but I don't know, maybe he's into that. It actually wasn't too bad once it was in. It just felt like a big poo. Still, I was desperate to take my mind off it, so I started to think about my suicide, and how God had saved me, and why. And then, as this 20-stone sodomite ruptured my anus with his throbbing cock, I realised exactly why God had saved me. That first time with Elizabeth, when we were making out, I felt a love between us stronger than I ever thought possible. And in that perfect moment, I made her a promise. I was all, "I'll always be here for you, Elizabeth. Whatever happens, I'll protect you, and care for you, and look out for you. Come what may, the one certainty in your life is that I'll be watching over you. I swear to you, I'll protect you forever." I made her that promise, and I meant to stick to it. But how close I came to reneging. Maybe she doesn't want my help anymore. Maybe she'd say I was relieved of my obligation when she dumped me, but a promise is a promise, and if I'd hit those rocks like I meant to, I'd have broken my word. I can't help it when I'm dead, can I? That's why I was saved. God wants me to keep my promise. It's not going to be easy, seeing as how I'm meant to be dead, but from now on, the reason for my existence is to watch over Elizabeth and protect her from the horrors of the world. I was saved to look after the girl I love. I'm her guardian angel.